So we'll just go through this very quickly, get some feedback from these guys. Alabama has Florida State. They're on the road at Tallahassee. They got Louisiana Monroe. Then they also have Wisconsin. So Alabama's got Wisconsin and Florida State. Kudos to Alabama. It makes me forget Louisiana Monroe and Eastern Illinois when you've got two big boys and one of them's on the road. Arkansas, well, they got Alabama A&M, Arkansas State. They got Memphis at Memphis. Memphis, pretty good program. So that's daring for Arkansas. Yep. Tennessee won't play Memphis. And they also play Notre Dame. That's a nice schedule. Auburn, well, they go to Baylor. And then they got Ball State, South Alabama, and always difficult Mercer. Florida, they play Long Island, which I thought only played basketball. I don't know when they started playing football, but Long Island. Then USF, Miami, and Florida State. So I'll give them a break. They got 3 in-state D1 programs on their schedule. If Tennessee had Florida State on their schedule every year, they would not schedule Miami and USF.
No.
So kudos to Florida. And for everybody who said, it'll get McElroy, it'll get
Napier.
Yeah, Napier. Billy, I'm going through their last fired coach.
As you should.
It'll get Billy Napier blown up. Well, it didn't. It didn't get him blown up. All right. Georgia, they got Marshall, Austin Peay, Charlotte, and Georgia Tech. That's weak. Kentucky, Toledo, Eastern Michigan, Tennessee Tech, and then Louisville, always weak. LSU goes to Clemson. I'll give you a break there. They got La Tech, Southeast Louisiana, Western Kentucky, all yawners, but they're going to Clemson. Mississippi State, they're going to Southern Miss. That's risky for them. You got Arizona State, Big 12 champs coming in. Alcorn State, Northern Illinois. I'll give you credit. You're going on the road for an in-state foe, and then Arizona State, Big 12 champs. Kudos to them. Missouri, Central Arkansas, Louisiana Lafayette, UMass, and Kansas. Kansas, border rival. Anything could happen there. Okay, I'll give you a break on Kansas. Oklahoma's got Illinois State, Michigan. Temple on the road. Nobody's scared of Temple, but at least you're taking your fans to Philadelphia. It's something different. I'll give you a credit for going outside the box. Kent State. Ole Miss has Georgia State, but they got Tulane, decent program. They got Washington State coming in. They got Citadel. That's tougher than what Tennessee typically schedules. South Carolina has South Carolina State, Coastal Carolina, Clemson already, Virginia Tech. Now, that's a neutral site. They're playing in Atlanta, just like Tennessee is with Syracuse, but they've also got Clemson. Tennessee, on the other hand, they've got Syracuse down there, and then it's the trifecta of East Tennessee State, UAB, and New Mexico State. Texas goes to Ohio State, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. Texas A&M's got UTSA, Utah State, Samford, Notre Dame on the road. Vandy has Charleston Southern, Georgia State, Utah State, and they're going to Virginia Tech. So you see some schools who are going out on the road. You see some schools who play more than one Power 5 school. But let's look at this the way it should be looked at. Let's look at the good non-conference games that are up there.
Right.
Let's take out the crap, and that's what you're left with. That's what you're left with. That's what the SEC can't pass on. They can't get rid of one more game in order to play a 9-game conference schedule. Your thoughts on what you just saw in terms of who's playing who? There are a lot of Tennessee fans. We talked about it's better for the fans if you add these games. We hear from a lot of fans who say, nope, don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want to play better games.
Yeah.
I want to play worse games. Just play 12 terrible games to get me in the playoff.
When we first brought up the fact that Notre Dame and USC were going to end their rivalry, Lincoln Riley came out and said, we're not sure if we're going to keep Notre Dame on the calendar. We asked on the afternoon drive show, hey, do you guys want better matchups or do you want cupcakes? And almost unanimous, every single one of them came back and said, whatever it takes to get to the playoff.
Right.
Easy schedule. That's why last year when we talked about the Kent States, this year's New Mexico States, they said we will continue to pay donations. We will continue to pay the talent fees. We just want the easiest path possible to get to the 12-team playoff.
Right, and I said a few years ago, you're trying to stay undefeated as long as you can. That's like the new formula.
Yeah.
And remember Akron, I point this out, a sellout for Akron.
But
it works.
Just have a playoff.
Right.
Just stop with the regular season. Dump it. Just have a playoff because that's all that matters. And I don't want to cover Kent State. I don't want to sit here. I'm not staying up till midnight to do one of these shows. I don't want to sit up till midnight doing one of these shows.
I know.
Where it's Kent State or ETSU.
Yes. Right.
That's crap. Nobody cares. They're all just saying, yeah. What about Georgia next week?
Yeah.
So why don't we just do the playoff and just make it a huge playoff? Everybody's in. That's your season. Just do that.
Like basketball.
The word I have for anybody who says, I want to schedule cupcakes, loser. That's the word I would use.
Here's what I was going to say, though. For Tennessee, it works because I don't go to those games, but they still get my money because I have a ticket. So, hey, Tennessee's like,
ticket.
man, this is great. You know, he's not coming, but I still sit here with his cash.
Yeah.
I will also say kudos to teams like Florida, kudos to teams like Alabama who are still going out there, whether it's neutral side or it's playing those home and homes. Heck, even getting, like you said, Oklahoma, good on them. You would never see a massive Power 4 program like Norman, Oklahoma going to Philadelphia for a game against Temple. Those are new cities. Even though Temple's going to be dog water in the
it's
AAC.
still something
Well, I'll make
different
another
than
prediction,
something.
too. Long Island will soon be an associate member of the SEC.
Now that they're playing football.
I bet they will too. It's
We'll
a
all
good call.
drink Long Island iced tea.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody can look at those non-conference schedules and see very clearly that Florida's non-conference, Alabama's non-conference, Oklahoma playing Michigan versus Tennessee playing Syracuse. You can tell which one's tougher, which one's not.
Right.
Which one will have more entertaining, competitive games. But I can't imagine many Tennessee fans at all would trade places because
Not at all.
they know the results are more likely to be in Tennessee's favor. The only complaint I typically hear, I think about like the Kent State type games, is that it could create a false sense of hope. Like last year, Tennessee just rolls it up on Kent State. Offense looks great. Nico's making all these throws down the field, and that didn't translate once they got into SEC play and may have felt like their opinions got burned a little bit with the inflation of those statistics. But in terms of the results and the goal being what it is to get to 10-2, if you can essentially guarantee yourself or give you a great chance to be 4-0 non-conference, becomes simple. Can you get to 6-2
Exactly.
in conference play? And if you're in a more favorable schedule, which we'll get to as well coming up, that gives you a better shot to get there.
And Tyler, you know, we do the action gambling show
Yeah,
on
on
the
the
digital
network.
network.
Yeah.
If I'm going through that and looking at these, John, Missouri, who are they playing? I'm thinking, right.
Again, Kansas is a long time. They've got a long time rivalry with Kansas. I'm glad to see that renewed. But
Right.
Kansas stinks. Yeah,
Right.
who are they playing?
Right.
I give credit to Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Right.
In that Tulane's a dangerous team. I don't see Tennessee playing Tulane.
They don't want to flirt with that.
All
yeah.
right, and Mississippi State, they're on par with Southern Miss. So the fact they're going on the road to Southern Miss,
Right.
I give you a little bit of credit for that. They're also Mississippi State bringing in Arizona State. I'm sure they didn't know when they put that on the books
Correct.
that they were going to be Big 12 defending champions. Still, has Tennessee played Arizona State? No, they've never played them in their history. It would be nice to see something interesting.
Right.
If you're a Tennessee fan, but
Right.
fans don't want it. The amazing thing to me that stands out is what's the most popular sport in this country? The NFL, right? Football, and the number one league by far is the NFL.
Correct.
Do they schedule patsies in the NFL, or does everybody just the computer kicks it out? And
Kicks
here's
it
what
out.
you've got.
Right.
And so I'm fascinated that people love that, and then they turn around on their Saturdays and they say, no, but I want to play nothing but cupcakes and patsies. That's just a
It's
lack
like
of
you-
self-respect.
You're trying to schedule 4 homecoming games.
Yes.
The one thing
Yes.
I've heard from a lot of the listeners is until the committee, this 12-person Grapevine Texas committee shows that they'll actually honor strength of schedule, why would you want to see Tennessee add to a schedule when it seems like, they were a group of 5 school anyway, it doesn't matter, even if they are a Tulane or one of those difficult group of 5 schools.
The difference, Josh just went through last year, Alabama getting their clock cleaned by Oklahoma is what kept
Right.
them out.
Right.
But Tennessee, they weren't out last year. The committee did look at you and took you in. So I don't know why Tennessee fans would be saying that because it didn't burn them last year.
Sure.
You're right, they do say it.
Sure.
I just think it's, what are you squawking about?
Yeah,
You
strength
got
of
in.
schedule arguments would actually be better within the conference. If you're if you're a 9-3 SEC team trying to beat out a 10-2 SEC team, but the league's not going to want to try to take one team out
Yeah.
to put another in. So they're going to battle another
you go.
conference, despite often not facing that conference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good.